All right, 3, 2, 1. G'day, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the CoolDadCollective podcast, a podcast that is for dads by a dad, talking everything there is to talk about fatherhood. I always, it's what's funny. I for some reason I've phased out the ups and downs, the trials, the tribulations. I think it just gets too much. But you know what it is, guys. Back again for another solo episode. It's your weekly dose of the dad life, just talking about everything that's going on in my life, the challenges that I've been through. Well, I was going to say from the week, but it has been sort of like more of a week. And I did want to sort of jump in and talk about a little segment that we have, or that I've sort of started. I started doing it on a Saturday now, and shout out ChatGPT for throwing me up a nice little, quick little logo there, which was really good. Excuse me. But yeah, I figured I did want to do like a little bit of a celebration type thing on these solo pods when it is just me, and talking about like all the ups and downs and all the wins that sort of come from you guys. Because I do a lot of chatting like during the week with a lot of you guys, the listeners of the podcast. And it's really, really cool to sort of like, when you guys bring things up that I've sort of said on the podcast and you guys say like, oh yeah, like I've been going through the same thing and stuff like that. And that sort of makes me feel like I'm on the right tangent. Because, my whole premise of the whole like Cool Dad thing is give advice where it's needed, but like the weekly sort of episode thing is not necessarily me giving advice, but it's more so to do with like me finding a solution to a problem, explaining that solution to the problem. It's not a foolproof solution. Like I'm not out here like moving mountains or anything like that, but it might be something that I've sort of trialed and it's sort of helped you or something like that. So, that's why I do come into these solo episodes with not much of a plan. Like I do have some ideas of what I want to talk about, but it's not a super planned out thing, because I find when I plan things, I'm too rigid with a script and I don't really go off my script. And I just feel way better. I don't know. Last week, actually, last podcast, and I always feel like I'm like my own biggest critic. And I just feel like, I don't know, last week I just feel like I didn't do a good job. Like it sounds dumb. Like I just left the episode, and usually I leave episodes here and I feel like I've sort of like, I don't know, I've either solved a problem or I've spoken enough about something that we get to sort of like a climax to it. And I feel like I was talking about so much last week, and it's just really like a summary of where my brain's at the moment, in that there's so much going on. And I feel like when I did speak about the cruise, I don't think I did a good job at like breaking it down. And like, I think one thing you guys, I tried to be really open and transparent about is the fact that like that sort of element of Cool Dad, like the whole like, I guess, influencer thing is so new to me. Like I know I've been doing this for a long time, but to actually like do that sort of stuff, it feels weird. It feels really weird. And like, especially when you're sort of like wanting to talk about it, I kind of feel myself always almost feeling guilty about talking about it. And I think I mentioned that last week. And I just feel like that guilt sort of like made the whole podcast kind of like meh in a way. Like I think I was so careful about what I was saying, and I didn't want to stumble over things and all that sort of stuff. And I feel like that actually like really fucked up this sort of like vibe of the podcast. So I really wanted to come in today and really just like actually just talk about what's on my mind, not have to worry about like, oh, I need to say this, I need to say that, or I need to say this or whatever. Just sort of go into it and have a couple things I wanted to talk about. And one of the things I did want to talk about that I don't think I talked very well about last week was the fact that, I mentioned the fact that getting through school with Skylar, and I sort of spoke about the positives, which like there are a lot of positives. And then I sort of got into the car after I recorded the episode, and I was just like, I just had all these random things come into my brain that I was just like, what the fuck am I talking about? Like it wasn't smooth at all. It actually was not, like it was smooth in the grand scheme of things. And like, when you think about an 8-week process, so we're like in week 9 now, so she's been at school for 9 weeks. And because it's getting in a routine, you actually miss out on all the stuff that was a problem. And one of the problems that sort of I've been going through is my daughter Skylar is at school. When she's at school, we never have any issues with her behavior, never have any issues with her sort of like speaking out of term or things like that. Like she's very, very good at sort of, I guess, being well behaved when she's in the care of somebody else. But we're having like massive issues. And when I say massive issues, I'm talking like fucking huge meltdowns after school. And Kira and I are very aware of like, the fact that she sort of keeps it together. Like Skylar will keep it together all day. She's very emotional, and it's really hard for me to be dealing with like a super emotional, like I guess girl dads in general, like, or like dealing with the emotions is so hard because there's a part of you that's just like, dude, just get over it. It's not that hard. And I always wonder if I would be that way if I had, and I hate sounding like this, but I guess it's the thought that we all have, so I may as well fucking say it. I always wonder if I'd be like that if I had a boy, like would I be this sort of like, I guess, affirming to emotions if I had a boy? And why wouldn't I be? Because I feel like I wouldn't be this sort of affirming to emotions if Skylar was a boy. And I don't think that's fair, but I always wonder where that comes from. So, for me, I know I can't just tell Skylar to just harden up. Or, there's a line. Like if she's like, she says something that's like disrespectful or something like that, then we're fully like no, this is a discipline moment. You don't do that. That's not how we behave. But it's when it's sort of like a tantrum, like you didn't bring me food when you picked me up. Or, why didn't you bring my shoes? I wanted to ride, like you bring a scooter to like to school pickup. You're like, we're going to ride home. It's going to be great. And she cries. She's like, no, I want to go in the car home, blah, blah, blah. And, I've always said this about, raising toddlers is it's never about the thing. Like she's not actually like pissed off about the fact that I forgot the fucking scooter or that we're driving to school today or that I didn't put something in her lunchbox. It's sort of like the thing she chooses that allows her to sort of like, I don't know, work through her emotions. But the thing that sucks about, working through the emotions is because we're really big on that. We want her to feel the emotions. We don't want to dismiss the emotions and be like, hey, I know you're sad, but dude, shut up, keep it together. Because I feel like that's not a healthy thing to do. And I think a lot of us sort of got told that and we didn't really understand how to actually like process, I guess, these emotions when we're not really sure why we're sad. It's just we feel sad. And it's usually because you're sort of masking all day. And it sometimes it's just really difficult to sort of, especially if you've had like a massive day at work. And I mean, like for me personally, I'm at work all day and I'm kind of dealing with problems with kids because that's my job, right? And then you come home and you got to deal with problems with kids, but it's a little bit different because it's your own kid. And you almost, and I talk about this all the time in that you almost leave like you leave a little bit in the tank for your family. And you don't know why it's only a little bit. Like, why are we only leaving a little bit? So there's times where I'll be at like my mental capacity. I'll have about 10% left, honestly. And I know that when I pick up Skylar, it could be a roulette. It could be a roulette. I could have the best pickup ever and it's just a great time. And then other times it's like immediately into like parenting. And when I say parenting, I mean like finding a solution to a problem that doesn't actually exist because that's the thing that they're focused on to then, I guess, be the vessel for their emotions. So we deal with this like every day. So, and it can come down to, for example, I'll drop Skylar off at school and she will say, I know, I want you to pick me up. I don't want to get after school care, blah, blah, blah. And I'll be like, that's fine. Yeah, like, sounds good. I'll be here. I'll be at 3:00, pick you up. And then I go to do that and I get there at 3:00 and there's tears because why are you here? I want to go to after school care. I want to hang out with my friends. And then all of a sudden you have a nightmare on your hands. And then, on the flip side, like for example, today, Mondays, we got our routine back, which is fantastic. We've spoken about the routine, how I like to record on Monday afternoons. Skylar's at after school care, which is fantastic. All her friends are there. Summer's at daycare, which she just froths out anyway. And I guarantee you, I'm going to go there today and I'm going to pick her up at 5, which she said she wanted to be picked up at 5 because she wants to hang out with her friends. And she will say, why didn't you pick me up earlier? And it's like, you just feel like nothing you do is the right decision. And when you feel like nothing you do is the right decision, eventually after a certain amount of time, you start thinking, am I actually the one that's making all these fucking stupid decisions? So we haven't really got to a point where pickups are nice, if that makes sense. Like, I'll post videos about it and how I love to do the pickup and things like that. But I'll be honest, pickups can be really draining. And it does get really hard because then you got to get home, you got to cook things, you've got a really emotional like 5-year-old that's crying after everything, and every little decision you make is then followed up by like an explanation to make sure that she's not crying. And then when she is crying, you're running this tightrope of, is this time where I acknowledge the emotions and have a chat? Or is this one of those times where I say, hey, we need to stop? And I think that's where the tough bits come in. So, and I know this is a thing that it affects a lot of people. Like, it is a legit thing that kids go to school all day, and it's usually like your kids doing amazing things at school. You see all like the class dojo stuff. We'll talk about that soon. The class dojo stuff, and they're doing so well and all this stuff, and you think to yourself like, I can't wait to pick them up. I'm going to be so stoked about this stuff, and you pick them up, and they fucking hate you. And you sit there, you're like, dude, I have waited my whole day to get home and get really excited and like, see you, and then the first thing you want to do is just be like, I fucking hate you, I don't want to be here, blah, 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 blah. And that is so difficult not to like get in your head about that. So when I said last week that school's been fantastic, I really sort of like, I really sort of gave it a bit of a disservice because I was sort of thinking of it in terms of like an umbrella. Like, overall, it's been fantastic, but really when we're unpacking it, it's been quite difficult to sort of regulate her emotions of an afternoon. And we've had chats about it, and she still loves school and things like that. But as a parent, you just sit there, you think, and you're just like, fuck, is this gonna end soon? Like, are we gonna get to a point where she just comes home from school and she's just like, I had a great day, let's keep going on with the day, Swings and roundabouts in parenting. It's never gonna be perfect, but there are just times where you just wish one thing. You just wish that one little thing in the day that really irks you and makes you be like, fuck, I wish that what didn't happen. You wish that one thing would stop so you can enjoy the rest. And it's really hard to do. So, one thing I did want to say about the school thing is I think everybody has like issues with different things. Like there are some people who have major issues with like, kids were just refusing to go. But then there are people that have other issues. And, the worst thing you've ever experienced is the worst thing you've ever experienced. We're not here to complain. Sorry, to compare who's got it worse, when in reality, like, that might be the worst thing for you, or that might be the worst thing for someone else. And we're all in here just dealing with these problems. So, if that's you, hang in there. Like, it is hard having a kid just starting school. It's not like a gradual process. Like, I know there's going to be like a whole new thing when we have holidays as well. And all of a sudden, Sky's going to get sick of me because she's going to be with me for 2 weeks. And, she's going to be like, I want to see my friends. I want to do this. And I'm trying to be like, hey, that's great. I would love you to see your friends, but how about we sort of spend some time together, or things like that. And, the other option is, we got vacation care, but then once again, it's just money. I'm spending money for her to go and hang out with her friends all day. And it is such a tightrope being a parent. Honestly, some days, like I was driving here today and I was like, what am I going to talk about? And I found it really hard. And I hate this because overall, like being a parent, it's been so sick. But once again, it's just like swings and roundabouts. We've had a bit of a weekend where it's been hard, and then, that sort of taints your view on like how it is. But one thing I do want everyone to know is, you just got to you do have to just keep showing up. Some days are so shit. Some days get to the end of the day and all you want to do is just have like 6 beers and go to bed. But we all know that that's not the best way to deal with our emotions, right? And one thing I did do, which was very good, is last week I went and had my psychology appointment, first one of the year. I was a bit late. I tend to do one like once a month, which is way less than I used to, which is fantastic. And went through a whole bunch of different things, and I don't know, I get the same effect from psychology, and I know everyone's different. Not everyone has had a fantastic, I guess, experience with psychology. For me personally, finding a good psychologist has made it so much better, and I feel like you get the same feeling that you get after like a really hard workout. Like, you feel like you've just left it all on the table. Like, it's all there. Like, I worked my ass off in that session. Here's all the stuff that I did, and you feel a little bit better because you can sort of like, when you're piecing together, similar to like how this podcast works, the way it sort of goes is like, you talk and those words become puzzle pieces. And by the end of like a sort of like a scenario, you have all these puzzle pieces on the table, and then it's your responsibility then to try and move those puzzle pieces to create the picture. And I guess that's like parenting, right, as well. Like, you collect all this data and eventually you have to go, right, let's put all these pictures together. And so, psychology was really good for that. And I feel like it was overdue. I feel like I had a lot of stuff to work through, and I still have a lot of stuff to work through. There's a lot of stuff that just weighs on my mind, and you can't really escape them. And, sometimes you just got to talk about them, unpack them, unravel them, and not just run away from them, which I know I used to do a lot in my sort of I guess, mid 20s to now getting to a point where it is good to talk about them. And I think it's great for these things to come out. Massive shout out to two doting dads, Maddie J and Ash Wicks. They recorded an episode not long ago, and I think it resonated a lot with me because it was talking, obviously. And if you don't follow like the boys at Two Doting Dads, go do it. It's a fantastic podcast, similar to mine, but a little bit different. But they're still talking about really important things. And I think Ash touched on something this week or last week that I think was really, really important, something that resonated with me a massive amount. And it was mainly just to do with him and his sobriety, which, you know, for some people it works, for some people it doesn't. I wouldn't exactly call myself like fully sober in terms of alcohol, but I don't drink that often. I used to. I have nothing wrong with it. I love a beer, but I did find that when I was drinking a lot, which when I was younger, I'd binge drink, standard Australian shit. And that would sort of creep into me as I was getting older. And I realized, you know, some of the behaviors that I was exhibiting when I was drinking, you know, nothing bad. I wasn't violent or anything like that, but just doing like stupid little things, or, you know, I might, you know, get into an argument with someone and I just didn't like how it was. And also like, you know, that sort of bleeding into like, I guess, parenting as well. You know, you have your vices and sometimes when you're stressed, those vices sort of take over and there's times where you just feel like you're not present. The whole sort of point that Ash was sort of trying to make was like that it hurts when your kids call you out around like your presence and not being present, feeling like you're struggling and evidently struggling with God knows what. And yeah, it was a great episode listening to those boys talk about it, because like I said, I really resonate with it. There's times where I'll get through the day or even get through the week, and you know, you'll be hanging out with the kids and you'll be there, you'll be actively working to try and be present. But the thing about being present is it's fucking hard. It's kind of like meditating. You know what I mean? Like I don't exactly meditate, but like when you're trying to actively like be present, is probably the time when you're not the present. Like, how do I explain this? Like, the time that you're present, or that you're trying to be present, you're so focused on trying to be present that you're actually like not being present in that. You get what I mean? It's like a fucking vicious circle, right? And there were times where, you know, you'd sit there and you're trying your hardest to be present, but you're just not there because you're trying so hard to be present. And, you know, your kids will come up to you and be like, "You okay?" And there's nothing that breaks your heart more. Like, nothing breaks your heart more than when your kids, and they're only young, they're like 3, 4, 5, and it's evident that they can tell that there's something wrong with you. And that is literally heartbreaking, because I think we've all been there where we've all caught our parents where things are just too hard. And you see your parents in like a different light at that time. And I know it's going to happen. Like, to me, I know there's times now where Skylar's seeing me being older now, almost 5, and realize like, oh, I think Dad's doing okay. And, you know, she'll come over and be like, "Hey, I love you, Dad." And I'll be like, "Fuck, yeah, I needed that. I wish you didn't notice, but I did need that." So, you know, take care of yourself. I think I say it till I'm blue in the face. And sometimes I like to think, you know, am I talking about this too much? But I don't think I do. And, you know, I talk about the thoughts that I have in my head. Like, there are some days, honestly, and I love my life. And this is the thing that puts it into perspective for me too, is I love my life so much. I have everything I've ever wanted, but there are days where I get up and I don't know what it is. I just feel down, and there's no reason to feel down. You know, unfortunately, it's probably the most debilitating feeling. Because when you have something to feel sad about, you almost know how to fix that problem. But when you get up, you have everything you want, you still feel sad. You go, there's got to be some like a chemical here that's not working properly. And it's like you get frustrated and you get angry and then you get sad, and then, you know, it all feels like a lot. So I've been there, and it's important to acknowledge those times. It's important to do things that don't fully relate to solving the problem internally, but doing things that, you know, helps. So, for example, I've heard of this new thing called rage cleaning. Rage cleaning is, and they say it's a thing in mums. I would like to say it's also a thing in dads. I do consider myself a bit of a domestic goddess at times in terms of making sure the house is clean. Kira and I very much share the cleaning load, but I'm very much like the tidier. And, one thing I have noticed is like a 10-minute rage clean where I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed by how much shit is in the house. And I'll just spend 10 minutes where I put my headphones on. Whatever the girls are doing, they just do it. I don't mind. They can wrestle in the lounge room. I don't care. But I'll pick a task for 10 minutes. I'll just furiously do that cleaning task. And it makes me feel better. So, I've sort of implemented the 10-minute rage clean when I get home or something like that into sort of my repertoire of things that I do to make me feel better, and it's actually started to work, which is great. The other one's exercising, and we have our own things, and I think the thing that's important is you got a lot of people that'll tell you what you need to do. A lot of noise, like you need to exercise, you need to eat good, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this, you need to do that, blah 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 blah, all good. Whatever. It's usually the standard shit, right? Like, go to the gym every day. And I think that is important. Don't get me wrong. That's 100% important. But one thing we do have to take into consideration as our children are, we're all different, right? Sometimes you see people and they say, you just need to start exercising. And, I get it. I'm one of those people. I love to exercise. I love doing a hard workout where I actually feel like I'm going to die in the workout because I feel like I get that. But for some people, they don't want to do that. And when they're hearing all this stuff that you need to do it, you need to do this, sometimes you just need to peel it all the way back, right? Think about what's something you have a spare hour. What is the thing in that hour that you're going to do that every time you do it, you feel a lot better? Mine's play Pokemon. I just do that. Literally play Pokemon cards, feel so good. Literally go play PlayStation, feel good. Go for a run, feel good. Go play soccer, feel good. Like even eating a good meal, all of these things make me feel good. So you just need to find like the perfect combination for yourself. Doesn't necessarily have to be like you need to be juiced out of your mind and work out 3 times a day. It might just mean you go for a walk and you, play an emulator on your phone that plays your favorite like Pokemon game. Or maybe there's an app that you do. Maybe you just do Wordle every morning and that makes you feel good. Find your own thing that makes you feel good. That's the biggest thing. Yeah. Anyway, I did kind of ramble on that one, but I just feel like I said, I felt guilty last week because I really didn't think I did a good job of like really painting where I was mentally. And I think it was like a bit of a reaction to obviously just being on the go all the time. Like it's fantastic being busy, but sometimes it is just like, holy shit, can I just have 2 seconds just to chill out and not go to a kid's birthday party on the weekend or something like that? But we'll get there. We'll get there. Other thing I did want to talk about, and it was very fun. This weekend we kind of just by sheer, I guess, luck and coincidence, we decided to, I guess, split the girls up, and me, Kira, and I would take one of our daughters somewhere, and I would take the other one somewhere else. And then we'd come back at midday, we'd have a chill out, and then we'd swap, right? And then we'd go do something with the other. And one of the reasons for that is, we do a lot of things as a family, which is fantastic. I absolutely love doing things as a family. But there is something when you have more than one kid, or you have your second child, or it's pretty much that, right? As soon as you have more than one, and your kids are kind of sharing you, right? Like they have to share you with their other sibling. You realize how little one-on-one time that you have with your kids. Like you have one-on-one time, but it's still like one-on-one time within the vicinity of like the other kid. So for example, like I might have time at gymnastics when Skylar's doing dance. Summer goes on the playground, me and her play on the playground, right? That's like 45 minutes. Or Skylar, I coach Skylar's soccer team, up the mighty Gladiators, under 6 Gladiators. I have that time with Skylar, but Summer's still kind of around. So we decided Kia would take Summer out. She was going out for coffee with a friend, so she decided to take Summer, and I decided to take Scar with me. So when Scar was with me, we went and got a coffee and all this sort of stuff, and it was really, really fun. And it was one thing that I sort of thought to myself, we don't do this often enough. Like we really don't separate the kids and have one-on-one time with the kids nearly as often as we should. And we really should. Like after the experience, and I'm not saying it was the first time we've ever done it, but it was one of the few times where I was like, why aren't we doing this more? We need to do this more. This is a fantastic idea. Why don't we do this like once a month or something like that? And anyway, literally went out for coffee with Skylar, and it was just so nice being able to chat to her without sort of competing, or even like, obviously Kia's default parent for Skylar. So like she tends to sort of go with Kia whenever Kia's doing something, which is totally fine. I get that. But when it's just me and her, we can sort of joke around, and you realize, like I realize now, like I have a very distinct sense of humor. Sometimes it's quite dark, as some of you know, but it's also like kind of whack, right? And I don't notice it because Skylar and I are very similar but very different at the same time. But some of the jokes that she tells are just straight up hilarious. Like they're just so funny. Like even down to like, you know, she'll make me repeat myself because she knows that I laugh when I get caught saying something twice. And like we call it getting two-timed in our house. I do it at work. Someone says something, it's very audible, and then you just go, sorry, what was that? And they say it again. You're like, haha, twice, dear, you idiot. Skylar's been twice at me recently, and she does it at arguably the perfect moments. Like even down to the fact that, you know, I got her, I got her to order, and we went to the coffee shop, and I said, what do you want? She goes, I just want I want a strawberry matcha. I'm not even fucking kidding. I want a strawberry matcha, but no matcha. And I was like, okay, so do you just want strawberry? She goes, yeah, but I want strawberry. Like she just wanted, I don't know what it is about like these girls or what is going on, but they're talking about matcha at school. And she said, I want a matcha. And I was like, girl, I promise you, Sky, you will not like matcha. And she's like, right, well, I want matcha and strawberry from Little Florence. Fantastic place to go, local coffee shop. And she's like, I was like, go on, you order. She's like, can I get a strawberry matcha with no matcha? So just strawberry. And the lady was like, yep. So just a strawberry milk. She said, no, matcha with no strawberry. Oh, no, matcha with strawberry. So you had to say it in a specific way when all she really wanted was strawberry milk. And it was so funny. I just said to her, I was like, you know, you didn't have to say that. She's like, I know I didn't have to say that, but I did say that, Dad. So can I just drink my drink? And I was like, what the fuck? Where did that come from? Go on, drink your pink drink, you fairy. But like, it was so fun because I could see in her face, she thought it was so funny. And then we went down and just sat along the river and just talked about life and stuff. And then, you know, we swapped over and I had Summer for an hour too. And Skylar got to go shopping with Kia. And, you know, you're hanging out with Summer. I decided that was where the pancake video came from. If you follow me on Instagram, I was like, fuck it, we're making chocolate chip pancakes. And we did make chocolate chip pancakes because they're Summer's favorite. And yeah, we just had like a super fun time. And, you know, one thing I got out of it is, I guess, prioritize that. Like, I feel like we don't really prioritize it all that much. Like in terms of, you know, you have time as a family, which is awesome, but I don't know for me personally, and maybe this is you too, but this is something, as I said, that I've sort of experienced, learned, thought, fuck, this is an awesome thing, is just spend one-on-one time. Like don't get rid of the one-on-one time. The family time is so important. Do not get me wrong. Family time, family dinners, all that. But that one-on-one time, whether it's just like a walk, maybe you're playing, maybe you're, you know, teaching them a new skill. For example, I'm trying to teach Skylar how to play handball because she's fucking rubbish at hand-eye coordination skills. I know it's going to get better, right? She's going to be fine. It's practice. But, you know, teaching her to play handball and you know, even with Summer, like, you know, teaching her how to cook things is really fun. But I would highly recommend just spending some time individually with your kids as well. If you don't do it often, like, or maybe you did do it and then you've had your second child and you're like, fuck yeah, we do have to go out and spend some time. I would do it. Please do it because it is so much fun and you get a lot out of it, especially as a parent, especially your kids too, because, you know, some little things that you do, you know, for example, Skylar getting her first, like, it was a big deal, but it wasn't really. It was like, usually we get baby chinos. Baby chinos come in like little things. And it was the first time Skylar got her own little like medium, it was like a medium iced latte glass. It was like this big. It wasn't that big, but she was so fucking stoked that she got a big girl cup. And, you know, she was just talking to me all afternoon like, hey, Dad, do you remember that big girl cup that I got? Remember I don't need baby chino things anymore? And it was just like, I didn't even realize. And I was just like, oh, she's right. Like that is fucking cool. Good for you, Sky. That's awesome. But yeah, so little things like that, you really take it for granted. But yeah, so that's good. And we'll keep you updated. We have started training. Skylar's playing soccer now. And we're playing proper soccer. We're playing like games and shit. Like we're not doing what we did last year where it was just like kicking around. No, we're playing games. The under 6 Gladiators are going to be one of the biggest prospects in Queensland football. I'm going to say it right now. We're gonna come in. We're gonna get the fundamentals right, and I'm going to be giving updates. Right, we are going to be giving updates because, as they say, you know, it's all about participation. I agree, it is, but we're here to win secretly. You know, I'm not going to put the pressure on the kids. it'll be like a secret thing. It'll be like a, yeah, oh, we lost. That's okay. Did we have fun? And then I go away and I'm like, fuck, we got to work on our back line, guys. Got to work on our defense. Where's our goalkeeper? We're going to sort this out. But I'm very excited. Scarlett's super stoked to have her dad coach her. She has like, she's trying not to call me dad. And I'm like, dude, you can still call me dad. It's fine. But then she's like, started calling me coach. And I was like, what are we doing, girl? What are we doing? Don't be doing that. Anyway, guys, yeah, that's pretty much it. Off the dome again. Yeah, but a couple of things that we sort of got at. If you're struggling to keep your head above water with the school thing, you're not alone. I'm there too. Every day is like a new challenge. If you got more than one kid, really prioritize that time you spend together, and also like with your spouse as well, with your partner. Kia and I went and watched Lord of the Rings, the symphony, Lord of the Rings string quartet, which was actually so much fun. I can't remember if I spoke about it last time, but once again, so good. Date night. If you don't do date nights, find a way. I know it is really hard, if you don't have the village with you, but if you get the opportunity to do it, go do it. I know some of us are sort of, I'm so tired, why don't we just stay home, blah, blah, blah. Just go out and do something. Go for a walk. Go get ice cream. I don't know. Do something with your partner. Prioritize them just as much as you prioritize your kids, because if you guys aren't on good terms, it means it's going to fluctuate down. It's going to wave down to the kids, and all of a sudden you're going to have a bit of a nightmare. So prioritize yourself, prioritize your relationship, prioritize your kids. They're literally the three things you need to prioritize. They're the most important things. Anyway, guys, if you want to get in touch with the podcast, email CoolDadCollective@hotmail.com. Find me on all socials and on Instagram on Saturday mornings. Now, we are going to be doing a dad win of the week. That is where you chuck in your dad win of the week. We're going to collate them on the stories, put them up on the stories, and just have Saturday mornings where we celebrate dads. We celebrate dads showing up, celebrate dads doing their thing, and just celebrate you guys, because putting in the effort that you put in terms of fatherhood, like, it's delayed gratification at its most epic form. You're putting in all the work now, years and years, and then you're going to see this beautiful child that you've raised flourish. And it's all because of your hard work. It's because you were there, because you were supporting them, because you gave them the opportunities, and it's just because you're a fucking mad dog. So, guys, take care of yourself and have a great rest of your week. Peace.